Hey folks, how you doing? All right, good to be with you. Okay, uh, I wanted to talk about uncovering some of the mysteries. Okay, now people don't usually talk about it, as far as I know. Okay, you have to do quite a bit of research to get into an idea about what these mysteries were about. Okay, and I say each cult or religion has its mysteries. You know what I mean? Okay, so we take the cult of Sebek Ra. Now, the Sebek was this cult was very ancient. Okay, way back there. You know, time maybe 50, 100,000 years ago. The cult of Sebek Ra. This Sebek was a god who had something to do with the moon and the god Thoth. Okay, and his mother was originally the star god. Okay, mother of the stars, like the constellation Ursa Major, etc., or the Big Dipper, right? You know what I mean? And so, anyway, she had a son, also named Sebek. Okay, and so there was a cult, Sebek Ra, and we'll get into some of the aspects of this cult, okay? And then doing this, we take, let's say, an initiate, okay? One who is going through the initiation process in this particular cult, or maybe one who has went through the process, okay? But anyway, he's the initiate of the cult of Sebek Ra. And so his name is, okay, Sebek nakht Ra. Sebek nakht Ra. Okay, so we'll explain what these portions, the name and the portions of this name mean. Okay, Ra, the last part of the name, is actually the life force within the human being. Now, it's also referred to as the sun. Okay, but we breathe in the energy from the sun. It gets into us, and it becomes, let's say, our life force. The energy that flows through us, the electricity that flows through us. This is the life force, okay? And so we will represent this here by Ra. So that's where we get it from, the sun or whatever. You know what I mean? But it is the life force within the human being once it gets into us, okay? But then we have the word nakht. But before it, we have ka. We have nakht, okay? So nakht is the manifesting and reactionary power of the ka. It is the reactionary and manifesting power of the human being. Okay? Because it has to do with the life force in the human being. Hence our ka. Oh, everybody has a ka, they say. Okay? And the ka has its reacting and manifesting power. When the ka, okay, is weak and frivolous and so forth and so on, the person feels down, the dumps, bad, depressed, oppressed, and everything. The person feels bad. Because its ka force is low. It has been neglected by the person. Okay? So the person's reactionary and manifesting power is weak. It's like when a person don't feel like doing anything, depressed, etc. His reactionary power and his power to react to events in the world are low. You see. And so his ka is low. You see. So now, and the life force is slow, and so forth and so on. That's when the person don't want to get up and do anything, and so forth and so on. This is all it is. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about human physiology. That's it. Okay? So now, we have Sebek. We have Sebek, Ka, Nakht, Ra. Okay? And so, in this cult, you know what I mean, like many other cults, okay, we're dealing with electricity flowing through the body. Oh, that's the life force, okay? So now we have, with this electricity flowing through the body, we have what you call spark gaps, okay? Now, our nervous system, okay, our sympathetic nervous system, okay, which runs along the spinal column, down in the back, runs down along the spinal column, goes all the way down to the bottom, the coccyx, down the bottom of the spinal canal, okay. Well, these two nerve plexus, or nerves, they extend down, and they are like, they hang down, okay, like this here. It's a spark gap between, there's space between them, because these systems are negative and positive. And so a spark gap occurs between them, okay? Electrical energy, okay? And the spinal column itself, okay, is called the JED, okay? And it has energy. It is about energy, okay? And it gives energy to, let's say, our car. So remember, the car can be down, the person can be down in the dumps, okay? This energy is very low, the person depressed and all that, okay? Then we have a symbol here, or a sign, okay, of the car and the JED, the spinal column, and nerve plexus along the side of the spinal column, okay? Now, just give us a little insight about what's going on. This is here, if you can see it. Oh, okay. This here represents the spinal column, the JED, spinal column, and the spinal column have these here indicating nerve plexus, okay? Now, the spinal column is actually the power within the human being. His power is there in the spinal column, okay? So now, we see here that the spinal column is linked to what we call the car, okay? This here is a representation or a symbol of the car. And I had mentioned the spark gap. You see this here? Between these two arms of the car, there's a spark gap. And we can see here the electricity flowing here between the arms of the car. You see? So now when a person's down in the dumps, or depressed, and so forth and so on, he can master to get energy to come from the spinal column to what we would call the car. Okay? So that symbol represents the car. And we see that in the car, with the two arms of the car, we get a spark gap. And energy flows between those two arms. That's what happens with the spark gap. Okay? So now, our initiate, Sebek Ra, or Sebek Ka Nakht Ra, okay, is a person going through the initiation who is learning how to master these very things here. Okay? Now, we see this, the JED, the spinal column that I showed you. Sometimes in reliefs or pictures, you know what I mean, in the mythology, you'll see the Ankh cross. You'll see what they call the Wasp Scepter. It's a long scepter, okay, that look like it has the head of a donkey or something, okay? And you have the flail, a little whip you see in the hands of the king or the gods, so forth and so on, with about 3 or 4 strands hanging from it. You know what I mean? That's called a nakht. These represent power, strength, dominion over the inner forces of the body. Okay? And these forces can be kept up simply by a decent diet, exercise, and not too much, what we call it coitus, not too much of that. You know what I mean? You got to get out of bed. You know what I mean? And so, not too much. In other words, a person must maintain his reproductive fluids. You see what I mean? Because these reproductive fluids give stability. Okay? And if a person wastes these fluids, which is very important in these mystery systems and stuff, if he wastes these fluids, his ka becomes very weak. If the ka is weak, it is saying that the power in the spinal column has become deficient, depleted, because the person was entertaining himself, having fun, and wasted his semen or his reproductive force, because it goes for both male and female. She does the same thing if she's out having a lot of fun, or if he's out having a lot of fun, or at home having a lot of fun. It doesn't matter. Okay? So now we see that what can happen relative to the ka becoming weak or so forth and so on. What can happen to the person? Depression sets in and all that. But these are the mystery. The mystery comes in to play and how to maintain, okay, the reacting and manifesting power of the ka. That's all. But taking care of yourself. Okay. Now, we have various exercises, okay, that people do, like yoga exercises, etc., where a lot of breathing comes into play. You know what I mean? These are breathing formulas, okay, that are very active, okay, in maintaining the system, and they're very active in maintaining the power of the ka, you know, keeping people up and about and going without being depressed and so forth and so on. Keeps the immune system up. You know what I mean? So all these exercises that folks do, okay, is really for the purpose of this. These very things I showed you, you know, sustaining the power in the spinal column, and sustaining the power of the life force within us. Okay, now the ka is associated with melanin. Okay, melanin is an excellent transporter of electricity throughout the body. It conducts electricity within our bodies. So whenever you see the ka sign, you know, whenever you see the ka sign, all right, this is what it's talking about. See? This is the ka sign, and this is what it's talking about. You know what I mean? This energy in the body, and the spark gap. Okay. This is where we're going at with this mythology bit. The mythology tells us this. You know, all religions tell us this. Okay. And the thing is to understand what the religions or in the mythology is saying. Okay, folks, I'll get back with you and have a good one. All right, bye-bye.